We are legends.
Welcome to We RRR Legends, the unofficial podcast of DC Legends Mobile. I am Slowbeast, and with me as always is Hate Mail. In this episode, we will discuss all the latest news, break down Red Robin and Raven, along with a relook at Shazam. We also have the super popular YouTuber Pierre Woods, aka Fanatic Jalapeno.
Breaking news.
So the official podcast dropped this week, and we're going to add a link to the show notes, but it was the podcast that Ogre was on, and I mean, I really enjoyed it. How'd you feel about it, Hate?
I really enjoyed the episode. Got to concur with that was my favorite one. Ogre Barbarian, he's got to be the most popular guy in the DC Legends world right now. I've heard that he's having panties thrown at him. He's so popular. He, but it was awesome. Listen to devs, how much they were into the DC comics, and just all the new news that they're talking about. They got me extremely excited for March. If Ogre hadn't already hyped it up enough.
Yeah, I feel like he was a good person to. I know it just happened to be that he lived closest to their studios and was able to visit, but he was a great person to represent the community and go in there and just really he brought that out, that excitement, and talked to us about it. You know, he's doing it on his podcast, and then obviously the devs dropped their podcast, and it was great listening to him interact with them and hear all the feedback that they gave him and some of the questions that he got to ask them.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I learned more about the game during that podcast than I have actually throughout his visit than over the whole last year. So it was really awesome. Kind of how their plans are for characters coming out in the future and how far out they have the game planned. That was real reassuring, knowing that the game has a long lifespan. And then how much they talked about Martian Manhunter and why he hadn't come out yet. And then I'm really super excited about their re-emphasis on alliances, and I'm really curious to see what they have in store for us for March.
Yeah, I got to tell you, probably my favorite part was hearing Ogre back and forth about Gorilla Grodd. That was pretty cool, and like some of the concepts that he came up with, just sitting there, spitballing with the devs, and hopefully they got some ideas from it. I know it sounded like some neat abilities that they came up with.
Yeah, I've wanted to see Gorilla Grodd for a long time in the game, and some of the ideas that they had for him sounded really awesome. So I hope they take some of those ideas and put them to work. The other thing I really liked was how much they liked our crazy team comps with Ogre Barbarian, that they did it on their own show. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was cool hearing them, and of course they've got all the characters, and hearing that Ogre got to take the or the team full of chemo and see what kind of damage they could do. It sounds like they have a lot of fun playing with the characters they create too, which is really neat.
Yeah, overall it was a really fun show. I hope they continue to do them every month. Like it looks like they might be starting. It's hard to say, but really, really excited with that. That was really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Nothing really to talk about in sales. Obviously, the Red Robin character dropped in the shop, and I know you purchased him, but I did not. I abstained.
And then we also have the Shazam event coming soon, and then Clayface did his second round, just opened up. I think Shazam starts we're recording this right now. It's Monday, so I think it comes out in 4 days from today. So it'll be right after this podcast drops. We have with us today Ogre Barbarian, gonna give us a little bit of that breaking news that is being dropped right now. And Slowbeast was unable to make this segment, so we had, of course, recorded all of the podcast, or most of it, except for some of the interviews yesterday. So we're re-recording everything with all the news that happens to be dropping now. And we thought it'd be a good idea to have Ogre on, since he knows some of this knowledge ahead of time. And Today, we'll talk about what's been released so far, and then the rest of it that's being released. We have a new PvP arena map. I haven't even been able to download this yet. For some reason, my download seems like other people have, but Ogre, you've gotten to play it, and tell us a little bit about this map.
All right, so it kind of looks like an intergalactic meteorite kind of thing. Maybe you're in between dimensions or something. Like, there's a small moon, and it has the death symbol on it from the lantern rings. So it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at a
You know, it
picture
has a
of it. It looks awesome.
Starry Night background, and like it's really cool. It kind of has a cinematic opening as you're going into the fight.
That's super awesome.
So it starts out higher, looking at the moon, and then comes back down to your characters. So it's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. And who are,
Yeah.
so let's hear about the new characters today, Ogre, that were just announced.
So we are, in fact, getting Etrigan the Demon. He is going to be our freebie for our monthly login. The other one is going to be Constantine. Everybody's super excited about him, obviously.
I'm assuming he's
And then he would be the paywall. At least this is under what I understand about it so far. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure if they changed it. Obviously, I don't know that part. But when I was talking to them down there, that's what they were telling me. And then the last one is Martian Manhunter.
Nice.
And he is going to have a special way to show up in-game.
Oh,
Remember how I told everybody to get into larger alliances?
And there's been a lot of speculation.
Going to involve
on the
that.
message boards. And so I think the assumption is probably pretty accurate based on what I'm noticing everybody's talking about. So super stoked for that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. But for what it's worth, I can tell you the reworks are Swamp Thing and Jessica Cruz.
Oh, Jessica Cruz, huh? I wasn't expecting that. We were all thinking Zatanna.
You know, while I was talking to the devs, they feel like Zatanna is actually in a really good spot.
Yeah, I mean, she's a pretty good character. I think maybe she
Like,
could use one.
she doesn't really need anything.
If her true
The only
heal
thing
would go maybe overheal, that would, I think, make her.
Well, I mean, even still, a true heal's still really strong. She's the only one that has that.
True.
So, arguably, which one is better? Sure, but, you know, I mean, they're situationally different. So.
Well, that makes me very happy because I am running out of characters to level up and to be able to do my legendary missions, and I already have Jessica Cruz done. So.
Well, there you go.
And I didn't have Zatanna or Swamp Thing, so I was very worried about both having to do 2 new characters and then to be down to 7 characters left to be able to gear. So that.
Yeah, but we're adding 3 more now, so.
Yeah, but I have to gear them out completely for sake of the podcast is my excuse. The day
Fair
they come
enough.
out.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
People have come over the last 6 or 7 months to rely on people like me to max them out and tell them if they should hold off or this is one they have to do right away.
Right.
I take that role very
And see, I've never been a meta guy, so I do what I want.
Yeah. But still, it still helps to know how they perform.
No, I understand. I'm saying what I would look at more from those is actually look at the whole kit.
Yeah.
More than anything. I wouldn't necessarily care whether you told me they were garbage.
Well, sometimes the kits don't play the way that they say they do. Sometimes,
well,
for example,
true.
Superboy on paper just seemed like he was going to be fantastic, but in practice, I don't know. I didn't feel him.
Really? Because I got on paper that he was going to just be a total support and not really offer any damage.
Well, and I'm okay with that. For example, like Red Robin, I absolutely really like this character. Like I'm liking him more and more and more as I play him. And I knew he was going to be a utility character, and he does okay damage, but not anything to get excited over. But I'm
like
okay
he's
with
right
that.
around that WGD Batman and Ivy level for damage. He's right around that Scarecrow level damage because he has the same gear set as them.
Right. And, you know, you'll occasionally one-shot a Mystic, which, you know, is rare, but it will occasionally happen, or you'll do enough damage to make an impact at least. But he's mostly a utility character, but I really enjoy playing him. Where Superboy, I don't know. I don't. There's nothing in his kit that really appeals to me enough to pick him over any other character.
You don't like True Sight with stun? Like,
the stun.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, I mean
that's the only reason to take him, really.
But the True Sight, you know, the True Sight's okay, but it doesn't. I don't know. With like Red Robin, he's faster, and then when he uses his True Sight, it gives the other character a turn, so it makes it so much more impactful.
Well, close. It's like 80%, but yeah.
Yeah, it's basically.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they just took a turn. I can basically give them another turn. Where with Superboy, I can't really do that. And Superboy, even though he's got True Sight, he doesn't do enough damage to impact anything. So unless you're just trying to get rid of a problem buff, but Red Robin does that too. So I don't see any reason to use Superboy over Red Robin. The stuns would be nice if they're a higher percent chance, but because they're kind of a low percent chance, I mean, I know you do have the 100% stun on the one, but I don't know. It just doesn't.
His basic having the stun is what you're referring to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if his 100% to stun was 2 turns, then I think he would be a character you would pick over others.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, if they introduce a 2-turn stun, that just starts to break the game.
It might, or do something else maybe. I don't know exactly what it is, but as of now, I can't think of a reason I would take him over Red Robin or several other utility characters.
That's fair. I mean, to be fair, Superboy does randomly add turn meter to people, but it's a little bit low.
Yeah, maybe that needed to be a little higher. I don't know. He's one of those characters I have a feeling a year from now he'll probably end up in the rework pile because of the lack of use. I've never seen him once past his Alliance week.
Yeah, I don't think I have either, actually, to be honest.
I mean, there's a lot
Which
of
is weird
characters
because he seems really cool.
Yeah, I was excited about him, but he's one of my least favorite characters, to be honest.
Yeah, and, it's one of those things that I think, like I said before, a lot of players don't like those kind of characters just because they want to deal that damage.
Yeah, and I think Red Robin's not going to be super popular because of that, too. But he's a character I can say.
He'll see play, though.
Yeah, he'll see play. I think he's good enough, and he can take roles from other characters. You don't have to include a Steppenwolf, or you don't have to include a Batman TDK in a build if you don't want to, which is nice.
Right. The thing is Red Robin and Clayface just make the Nightwing leadership so much better.
I still
and I think
people have yet to run what
people have been looking. People have been looking for a way to run Nightwing. To be fair.
Yeah, I really haven't messed with that a whole lot because I got so hooked on running either Raven or Princess of Themursa as lead, and then because I don't have to run a Steppenwolf or Batman TDK or Terra, that I can fill my energy slot with Clayface and Mirror Master. It makes it so much better to be able to just run him, so then I don't have to worry about Harley Quinn.
Yeah, yeah. And Harley is even starting to see a little bit of a decline.
Yeah.
In her popularity, even.
They're definitely
like she's still the most popular character by far, but
I'm actually
she's definitely starting to see.
Power Girls shifted because Power Girls.
Yeah, Power Girls come up a bit.
And in the I see so much of Power Girl now, and she's probably the scariest person to face in my opinion too. And if you're not running Wonder Woman Princess, she is scary.
See, I still don't have really a problem with her, but I again run Heavy Mystics. So I mean, Aquaman stuns her, Red Hood blasts her upgrades away, and then Cheetah ravages her next turn and it's over for her. So
is there anything else coming in March that you can tell us about?
You can think of. Let's see, the new PvP arena, 3 new characters plus the 2 reworks. I think that was about it. As far as what I actually know, I mean.
Okay.
All right, and it's time once again for in-depth character analysis with Hate. Who are we looking at this week?
First, we're going to go with the new interesting character. I know I did a short YouTube video on him, but for those of you that didn't see him, we're going to talk about Red Robin. He's a fun character. He actually does decent damage when he crits. I know some people are saying that he's super weak, but he really isn't. I mean, he doesn't hit real hard, but he's a utility character, so he really shouldn't hit super hard. The Legendary order I like for him, and I'm pretty set on this now, is 3-1-2-5-4. His 3 tactical strike gives him the ability to can't miss, and it allows him to purge 2 debuffs if an enemy is taunting or invisible. So this is super useful against Harley Quinn MJ or Power Girl. So what I like about it is it allows you to not have to bring Steppenwolf or Batman TDK. You're not pigeonholed into that, and he can be if you wanted to run more than one, or if you wanted to run him as a physical character and not have those on your team. His basic Sweep the Legs is the one I would recommend next. This allows you to place buff immunity to the target if Red Robin is invisible. It's very easy to make him invisible even outside of Clayface teams, which I do like him the most on Clayface teams, but he tends to become invisible pretty easily. So you're placing that buff immunity on targets all the time. Okay, I like his 2 tech support next, though some go with his 5 Young Justice. This gives him True Sight and plus 25% turn meter. This can be pretty useful when you need to get more buff immunity spread around. So you'll cast it on a character that you want them to take a turn very quickly, and then he'll gain True Sight, so then he can go around a taunter to put debuff immunity. It's useful in characters like Arcus, or if there's another problem character that you want to go around the taunter. His Young Justice allows him to proc sweep the legs even more, so he can actually use it 2 times per turn. The percent chance is pretty low, but it tends to proc pretty often. So, and if you're facing against him, it's really annoying, I've noticed. And last, it's still a decent power, but I would definitely recommend it last, is the Into the Shadows, which would purge debuffs from an ally. The key to that, though, is they have to also be invisible, so it only works on invisibility-based teams, so I feel like this is the weakest of his set, because he does work pretty well in a pretty wide group of characters. You don't have to just put him on an invisibility team. Overall, I've pretty much enjoyed playing him. I know some people compared him to Superboy, but I feel like he's a lot better character than Superboy was. And lastly, his skill order I would go with would be 2-3-5-1-4.
Okay. Who else did you have for us?
Character I recently geared up, and I've just been having a lot of fun with her, so I decided to put her in this show. And because I liked her with my Red Robin team that I've been running, is Raven. And the Red Robin team I was running was Raven Lead, Red Robin, Clayface, and Mirror Master. That team does extremely well. Seems to be able to take on just about anything. If you saw my Red Robin YouTube video, you see this team a lot, and I also have a fair amount of video of that team in the YouTube version of this show. But Raven, she's a fun character. She's very powerful. I know you're using her slow beast. You like her too, don't you?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. She's definitely, your classic glass cannon. She's super powerful, but she cannot take a hit.
Yeah, she's very squishy, so you definitely need protection. But with Clayface being such a tanky character, and sometimes I'll run 2 tanks with Clayface, she can survive very well. The legendary order I like for her is 3-2-5-4-1, and that's if you want to have the capability to use her as leader. Obviously, you can push the leader back if you have no intention of ever using her as leader, but she has a pretty decent leadership, so I like to have the option if there is another ability that you don't really need. What I like about her 3, that's the Daughter of Trigon, is it gives you a 100% hit chance to purge 10 buffs if the target has evasion up. So this is also another anti-Harley Quinn character, which you can never really have too many of those because she's so prevalent in the meta. And also any other problem evasion characters such as Livewire or Siren, just like Huntress. So there's plenty of characters that have evasions that you want to get rid of. Catwoman now has them, so you can, but also removing 10 buffs is almost all of them in almost every case. This allows her to also not have to have Steppenwolf on the team. So a lot of times my biggest problem with running anti-MJ characters is that my energy slots are filled if I want to run like Clayface and Mirror Master. So I could put Raven on the team to remove Harley Quinn. The team I was running, Raven and Red Robin, they both could remove Harley. So if one of them happens to get enraged, most likely both of them won't unless you just get really bad RNG. She also can fill the Mystic role that gives heals, and since she hits fairly hard and you want to run other characters, she just gives you the more flexibility. Hers 2 is the second upgrade I would do, which is Empathic Healing. This can also purge 6 debuffs, so when you want to throw out a heal, you can also cleanse all those debuffs. I found that to be pretty useful. The next upgrade I went with is her Leadership. This gives an additional negative 30% crit damage on top of her negative 45% critical chance. She used to kind of be the poor man's Supergirl back in the old days of the meta, or Aquaman. People that didn't have him unlocked would use her in his place, and she works pretty well. She doesn't have the best leadership ability, but it does also help keep people alive if you want the other abilities in her kit. The next one I went with is her 4 Raven's Claw. This allows people to get silenced when they attack Raven. I found this to be fairly useful because she will counterattack, and then even if they are a physical or a character that you're not that she's going to do much damage to, she'll at least silence them, which is pretty nice. And whenever she gets hit with AoEs, this makes it extra good because you'll see those silences flying around. And I also went with her basic last. This does 3 agilities down, which is actually still pretty good. You could move this up if you plan to run a Suicide Squad Deadshot type of team, but for the comp I was running, I felt like this was the last one on my list. The skill order I would recommend for her is 3-1-2-5-4, and that's the skill upgrades.
And then you wanted to take a look back at Shazam since he's going to be the character this coming week.
Yeah, I know we had him in previous shows, but just to kind of talk through him real quick, if you plan to run the event and you want to get him, he's really tanky, which is nice. The order I like with him is 2-3-1-2-4 or 2-1-2-3-4, and the key difference between those two is that you're moving up his negative 50% turn meter That's the order I would personally go with because I think it's a little more valuable. But they did fix his stun and his counterattack. The problem is that it is such a low percentage that you don't see it proc too often. Because he'll counterattack, but his basic hits so weak that it almost does no damage, even against energy characters. So you want it to do the stun, but the stun is only 30%. It's not bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. Legendary 4 is a sweet spot, but I value the turn meter down a little bit more, personally. Yeah, but if you have the ability to take him Legendary 4 and you want to use him, that's where he gets the biggest bang for his buck. But he also works very well at Legendary 1. Just take his damage immunity upgrade. Even whenever he gets, if the damage immunity doesn't proc, he can still take a beating. He can take a full shot Huntress to the face, not die. You'll see some YouTube video. I'll make sure I include some teams. I do kind of actually like him with Clayface too, because he gets those additional agility ups, and he's got all his own stamina ups. So when Clayface's taunt drops off, Shazam's 2-turn taunt is still up. So then he starts getting, he protects your other characters. So he actually works pretty well. And then if you have him Legendary 4, he'll occasionally proc those stuns, which is really nice. The skill order I would recommend for him would be 2, 3, 1, 4.
All right, Hate. So Ogre sent you some teams. They look kind of interesting, but I guess you didn't have very much success with them this week.
Yeah, he sent me some cool looking teams on paper, but in practice they didn't turn out the way I was hoping. We didn't have Ogre on this time because we recorded early in the day to have time for our interview with Fanatic Jalapeno. But the first team he sent us was Raven, Superman, Catwoman, and Superboy. Pretty interesting comp. I honestly thought it looked really cool and was going to work well, but the problem I ran into with that is that Superman, you really need to have his taunt up early.
Yeah, he doesn't start with his taunt.
And because he's not real fast, Raven gets nuked usually right out of the gate.
Yeah,
Catwoman,
I can see that.
it works well because Catwoman, I like the Superman-Catwoman pairing, and I actually think Superman lead with Catwoman. If we change this around, made Superman the lead, and if Raven doesn't die on her first hit, it actually could work fairly well because...
Well, it looks like you got a lot of buff removal, and you've got True Sight from Superboy, so you can ignore a taunt, and then you got Superman to taunt, but like you said, Superman's just too slow.
A variation of this team I'm actually thinking about trying after testing this was Superman lead with Catwoman, Power Girl, and Raven. Because Superman...
Power Girl would have the taunt right away.
Yeah, and then when she gets critical striked, Superman will proc his taunt. So he gave me a few different ideas, and then Catwoman, if she gets critical strike, a lot of times she won't die if she.
Right.
So then Superman can proc his taunt. So it'd be an interesting team comp, but unfortunately that one just didn't work out too well. The second one he sent me, I like this one. This was probably my favorite of the three. Was Nightwing, Red Robin, Clayface, and Mirror Master. Obviously, we have all the invisibility synergies.
Yeah.
Nightwing jumping all over the place, attacking. Worked fairly well. The biggest challenge I had with it was that any strong energy teams, especially Power Girl teams that I faced, and Power Girl's such a monster to face against, you really need a Mystic to handle her. And I ran into a few occasions where she would just get buffed up too high, get too strong, AoE, destroy Nightwing and Red Robin, and then that just left me Clayface and Mirror Master, and I got whittled down.
Yeah, I could see that.
The next one he gave me, I like it in theory. The one he sent me was Captain Cold, Robin, Clayface, and Batman, Cape Crusader. But Batman
was it supposed to be Red Robin?
Oh yeah, Red Robin, excuse me. And Batman Cape Crusader I don't have geared yet, so I replaced him with Catwoman, thinking that would be a good fit. Problem I have, and I've run into this with one of his other comps that he sent me, is that I'm realizing more and more at Gear 11, Captain Cold just is not a great character. And I would actually put him in the rework section anymore because he's got a cool kit, but for some reason he's a little too squishy and he does a little too little damage. His AoE does probably the most damage. So I find I don't do well when I have him as lead on teams for whatever reason.
Well, his kit is mostly about his slowdowns and stuff. The Batman Cape Crusader works well, probably better than Catwoman because he can start off and he has his nuke.
Yeah.
He starts off invisible. So that would have helped you take out any Mystic right away because he should pretty much one-shot any Mystic.
I don't see very many mystics very much anymore. It's usually energy
Yeah.
and physical characters that you're facing, so you really want a mystic on your team to handle the strong energy characters that you face.
Yeah, so maybe change the lead on this team and
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of Batman Cape Crusader with Clayface.
yeah,
And
oh, I love putting him on a team with Clayface cuz like I said, first turn he can start with his nuke and
yeah,
do a
I'm
significant
wanting
amount
to
of
gear
damage.
him out, and if I wasn't stuck at being concerned about unlocking legendary missions, I would go ahead and gear him sooner than later, but he unfortunately is going to be on the slow gear up roll now.
Sure. Back burner.
Yeah. So he's high on the list. I'm working on Batman World Greatest Detective because I know Ogre's given me a lot of really cool team ideas with him. So he's been my daily upgrade character. So in 4 more days he'll be gear 11, and then I've been taking everyone to 70 before I start the 80 train. I think I have 9 characters left to go to 70, and then I'll start working on my favorites to 80.
All right, and now we have the interview with Pierre Woods.
We have Pierre Woods, aka Fanatic Jalapeno. How you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me on your show.
We really appreciate it. I'm a super huge fan of yours. Your videos inspired me to actually start doing voiceovers, which still got a long
Oh,
ways to go to catch up.
well, that makes me feel real good.
Believe it or not, well, actually, I'm sure you're probably aware, but you are our #1 requested guest when we started asking who we wanted to have on the show. So we're
Wow.
really excited to
Well,
have you on.
that is very impressive, and I'm very flattered. So thank you, or thank everyone for requesting that. It makes me feel real good.
Well, the first question we want to ask you, just to get to know you a little bit better. How long have you been playing DC Legends, and what got you into the game?
So I honestly, I'm gonna have to just say like a year and some change. 'Cause I don't know the exact date, but will say that while I don't know the exact time, I do remember it was during the speed kill era where it was both the arrows and that dead shot from the Suicide Squad. And
Yeah,
it was basically it was that's around the time I started to play.
yeah. So you were
Um,
pretty early. That was towards the beginning.
yeah. So I've been playing since then. Those were the hard days.
So are you a big DC fan, or did you just pick this game up, just kind of testing them out, or how did that work?
So I actually kind of a little bit of both, but I lean more so toward DC over Marvel. Before playing this mobile game, I actually played DC Universal Online, DCUO,
Oh, okay.
on the Xbox, and before that, of course, PlayStation 3. So I was a big DC fan because of that game, and then coming to this, I really enjoyed the turn-based aspect of it. So it was real nice and refreshing to see all the heroes that I used to play with on DC Universal on this game.
Oh, that's cool. And where
Yeah.
did you come up with the name Fanatic Jalapeno?
So I can't take any credit whatsoever from that name. That's all Google. So,
Really?
technically, the full name is like Fanatic Jalapeno 5034 blah 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 blah. But so I saved my content because I used to be username blah 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 367 or whatever, and I actually started at the same time, kind of two accounts, and the second account, the phone broke, and I realized real quick that if you are under username 6789 and your phone breaks, your content has not been saved.
Oh man, that stinks.
So I found out the hard way with one of the accounts, and so I instantly saved the content, and it gave me Fanatic Jalapeno. And at that point, I didn't really care. I was like, well, whatever, I'll take it. So here I am.
Cool name actually.
Yeah, right.
So in DC Legends, who would you say your favorite character is?
All right, so that's kind of shifted over time. It used to be, and in my early videos, I just praised Dr. Poison, and because I love bleed teams, and part of that was her combination and her synergy with the Joker, Clown, Prince of Crime, the old
Yeah.
Joker, Clown, Prince of Crime. So I used to love that combination, and Dr. Poison was hands down my favorite character. But then after his demise, I really took a liking to Mira. So Mira right now is literally my hands down like favorite character on the game.
Oh, she is awesome. I do like her a lot myself.
Oh yeah.
Right now, I'm really hooked on Mirror Master with that Clayface combo.
Oh yeah. Well,
It's
they're
so much fun.
besties. They're definitely besties.
Yeah, I'm just having so
Inseparable.
much fun with that team. And with
Yeah.
Red Robin that recently released, I don't know if you've had a chance to play with him a whole heck of a lot, but what are you thinking of him?
Ooh, so I kind of brought him up a little bit in my last live stream. I talked to him just a little bit, but he's one of those characters. I put him in the Lux or luxury category. He's kind of one of those characters that he has a place. He has a place. It's just not on my team. Oh, so he's I like him, and I see what I can. I see his potential for, let's say, for example, future tweaks to the game. But as it stands right now, um, honestly, it was kind of interesting that they brought him out because they brought his counter, oddly enough, in January, which was Power Girl. That AoE attack is devastating, and he has no means to protect himself. So, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, do I really invest in this character that can just be taken out by, let's say, an AoE attack from Firestorm, an AoE attack from Power Girl? So it's kind of one of those things where if you have the right team already, yeah, work on him, get him ready to go. He'll be great. But if you don't have that kind of team, you got to watch out for those AoE attackers, especially the green ones. So for me, I can see his potential in the future, but right now, with especially, 3 other Robins out there, he's not that high on my priority list.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd like him as much as I did, but with Clayface protecting him, and when I saw your video, I heard you talking about the Power Girl, but I noticed that when I run him with Clayface, he can take those big AoE shots from the 10 agility ups, and that seems to keep him alive. My favorite team right now, and earlier in the show, me and Slowbeast were talking about this, is actually Wonder Woman, Princess, or Raven lead with Clayface, Red Robin, and Mirror Master. That team seems to do so well because Red Robin can shut down Harley Quinn, so you don't have to run Steppenwolf.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He can also help your princess, Wonder Woman princess debuff Deathstroke. So you don't have to change characters in and out. And I like whenever I can run a fun team, and if I just want to just quick grind through PvP, that team
Oh yeah.
actually seems to be able to hold up against anything. Which I was actually surprised at survivability. You just got to be careful not to be forced to attack Power Girl and have her double strike back at him.
Exactly, and I mean, I think that of the characters, again, I don't say he's a bad character. I just say he fits in that luxury category, meaning that
Yeah.
he can easily be replaced. In my opinion, I feel like you could. I get what you're saying. Where you can actually put him in lieu of Steppenwolf, which is fantastic. But I like Catwoman's survivability now. I love her survivability, and I love this new Robin and his ability to the Robin rework.
Yeah.
I love the Robin rework. Like that is absolutely amazing. And how he goes about doing things. I just really wish that they would have given him something, especially with the AOE attack with Clayface, with the AOE attack with Power Girl. I wish that they would have given him something like Evasion Up or something like that, just to give him a little bit of his own survivability. Because I guess my main thing when I look at characters, especially new ones like this, I look at if for whatever reason you're in the 4v4 situation and throughout the course of the battle you end up with just Red Robin and somebody on their team. I don't really see him as a closer.
Yeah, he's probably not going to do it. The one thing he does have, though, and I've had that happen to me a few times on these teams, is that his debuff for certain characters that rely on buffs to get really strong, he can keep them debuffed, which does make him. But he does so little damage that I mean, he can one-shot a Mystic if he crits, because his crit damage is actually good, but
Right.
if he doesn't crit, he does terrible damage.
Right. But you know what? The sad part about it is the person who lost the most on this one is Doomsday again.
Yeah.
I hope he gets better rework or something, and down the line, because he relies so heavily on those buffs, and he needs a lot to really do something. And with Red Robin running around, it's really going to negate the purpose of that Doomsday. So I'm hoping that they do something different with Doomsday, hopefully in the near future.
My next question for you is, what got you into doing YouTube? Have you done YouTubing before DC Legends, or is this just kind of a new venture for you? Or?
So definitely very new for me, and it all really started with my alliance. I had a lot of new team members come on, and they would ask questions about various synergies and things of that nature, and I would tell someone a really cool synergy, and then someone else would join, and they'd have that same question. And you know how we can't save our chat; the chat goes away after a little bit of time. So I found myself just kind of repeating myself over and over again. So I said, you know what, maybe it'd be kind of cool to actually just record something, put it on YouTube, and I just told my alliance members where to go to find the information. And I was expecting maybe like a couple hits, a couple views from the people that were on my alliance. But then it turned into a lot more than that. So definitely didn't think it was going to be where it is right now.
Awesome. This is a kind of a personal question from me, just because I'm curious, because I haven't gotten into live streaming yet. So I was curious what software you're using to record, and if you're on Android or iOS.
So it's definitely Android, and if you're iOS, then I feel bad for you, because it's actually an app that's universal, but it has a feature, like an added feature for Android users, which I'm able to use. So it is Android, and it's there's two different ones I would use. There's one that's a stock app that's built into Android phones, is like basically in the Play Store, and then the other one is called YouTube Gaming. So those are the two things. So the YouTube gaming app and the stock app that's built into Google.
Okay. Yeah, I started looking into the YouTube gaming app, and I saw iOS has compatibility issues, so I got some homework to do to figure that out.
Yeah. So I'm saying good luck with that one. I'm sure there's tons of other ways to do it, but it probably involves more complex software and all that stuff.
And before we get into all the news that just dropped today, because I was going to ask you what you want to see in the March content, but that's kind of moot with some of the things we just learned. So I'll just ask you, the last thing you want to see is who's your wish list character to come out, and what kind of new mechanic are you hoping to see in the future?
Wish list character. So honestly, they've done a really good job of just bringing and making any kind of character really good. So I don't really mind any specific character, but mechanic. And this kind of goes into the Red Robins, the Superboys, the overall just the characters with high utility but with low damage. I would love to see a new buff, maybe called Reflect, where you would put that on yourself. You would put that on yourself, yeah, and it allows for those characters with the low damage to still attack someone without taking on major damage. But then it would be a buff that, of course, would really hurt those power hitters. So it would kind of level the playing ground a little bit. So if you want to debuff someone, you're going to need one of these, high utility with low damage people on your team in order to make that happen. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be really neat. On my wish list, I kind of want to see Lifesteal. That's one of the ones I've been wanting to see for a
that'd be kind of sick. That'd be sick.
So we gotta talk to you about. It looks like they released some images. I don't know how much of it you got to see, but it looks like hopefully it seems like the three new characters. They just a little bit ago released a character that looks like he's an energy character that has a remarkable resemblance to Martian Manhunter. And then Constantine and Etrigan. Yeah.
I want to say everyone's basically saying that that's what's happening now, and I'm very excited about these characters, especially if it is Martian Manhunter. I would be very excited to see what they do and how they go with that. I mean, I'm sure that he's definitely going to have invisibility for sure. He wouldn't be Martian Manhunter without that. But I want to see if they're going to do some kind of like shape shifting. Where you can maybe take on the form of anybody that's on the field or something like that. That would be sick.
That would be super awesome. That might be challenging for coding, I would think,
possibly.
Oh,
sure.
Right, it would be super cool. And how do you feel about having 3 characters this month as opposed to the usual 2?
Well, if they tone it down a bit with the reworks, that would be fantastic. Or at least give us kind of guidelines on, who's going to get reworked or, to what extent will they rework. Because I will say that at one point with that whole Joker thing, I did get a little nervous because, they basically took a character that fit into a specific category. He was a bleeder, and they basically removed him from that specific category into an entirely different category. So that kind of scared me, because it's like, at what point, or what is the limit to what these reworks are about?
Well, they did say, well, Ogre shared with us on our podcast last time. I don't know if you heard it. He said that they won't, going forward, they're going to just do like they did with Catwoman and Robin and not
Oh,
really
fantastic.
change characters over. So
Fantastic. Okay, well then you just hit me with some great news.
there you go. So,
Excellent. So so I'm very excited about the 3 characters. It's going to hurt my wallet a little bit, but
it's going to be an expensive month. A lot of people are speculating, and I hope this is the case, that he might be something to do with alliances, one of the characters, or something along those lines, because they kept pushing and pushing on during their official podcast. They were talking about, make sure you're in an alliances, you want to be part of a big alliance. So I wouldn't be surprised, because they've been sticking to those 2 characters for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised it has something to do with that, or maybe he's some kind of new PvP reward. I don't know if you saw too, they patch 1.18 dropped like
no, I didn't get a chance to see that. I've been really busy lately. So
yeah, no, it's only been a couple hours, so it's apparently there's a new arena map that dropped today.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks really neat. I couldn't get it to download before. I had to leave and come back to do this recording. So, and then and I know Slowbeast got tied up with something, that's why he couldn't be on for this interview. So I doubt he's got a chance. But it looks, the picture of it looks super neat. It's got Arkham Asylum. It's got floating cars in the air. It looks really neat.
That's amazing. That's definitely amazing. And you know what? I think that this is exactly what the game needs, especially with Marvel Strike Force in the horizon here. Just having some content to just really help out with the old veterans
Yeah.
and of course all the new players and such. I mean, just having that new content come out, I think that's just going to be amazing. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah, March is going to be exciting. I'm really excited to hear. I'm sure they'll probably release all the information about everything as soon as I'm done recording the podcast and upload it. But that's not always good.
I know it is. That's right. Well, we can always speculate to see what happens, and hope for the best.
But it looks like it's going to be a cool month.
Have you had any word about what's happening with these legendary events? Do you think that might be something in the near future?
I think that's going to be a little while, because I know they had said that additional PvE content isn't likely to happen in first quarter, but I guess they've heard us loud and clear about it. And first quarter is going to be over in a month, or a month and a week.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's probably the next big project, whatever. But it sounds like they're doing something big with alliances, so maybe there's going to be some PvE content or something along those lines. But definitely sounds like something big in March, and then we can hope that the rest of it comes down the road.
All right. Well, I'm getting ready for DC Legends March Madness.
Exactly. That'll have to be the title of your next YouTube video.
Yeah, possibly. That's true. It could be.
Well, before we let you go, is there anything you want to plug? Anything? Your YouTube channel, obviously super popular, but I'm sure there's a few people listening to this that might not be aware of you.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily a plug for me, but this is just for people who are listening and that stumble across just various videos. I think that when you're interested in the game, check out all of the different people who are posting, because you get a different angle. You got Superhero Review out there, yourself, all of these different people posting videos for DC Legends. And I think that the game itself is so great that you can have, all these different type of viewpoints on different synergies and things like that, and you can get all these different viewpoints. And it's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. I love going to you guys' videos, going to Superhero Reviews videos, and taking pieces from what you guys bring to the table and adding it onto my content. So it's almost like a big puzzle. If a new person's there wanting to get answers, the wiki page is fantastic, and of course all of the different people who are posting on YouTube, and of course the forums, not just on the app itself, because I know there's a lot of people who play who don't don't really go to those forums to get information. And that's a great place for information. I really wish that they would organize it a little bit better and put like maybe a little glossary in the game. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You know, so it's like, oh, and then a filter would be fantastic. So I mean, if a developer's listening, just a little filter, you know, where you can be like, oh, these are all the bleed characters. Search by bleed character. You know, what are all the characters that haven't rage? So then that way you know who to focus on. That would be fantastic. So those are the only little things I would just like to throw out there and just say. So yeah.
Yep.
Again, I will say thank you for having me on here for sure. I'm very excited about you guys reaching out for me. And
we really appreciate it. It was great having you. And then hopefully we'll have you on again in a few months. I want to have a superhero review on as well because he's one I haven't had a chance to get him on yet. We have a good lineup for the next couple weeks of guests and definitely want to work him in soon.
Fantastic.
Well, we appreciate you being on. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you. It's great.
And don't forget, we will be dropping our monthly patron-only episode number 3. We have a great episode ready for our patrons with some Q&A, over an hour of bonus interview audio that didn't make it into the show, and some hilarious bloopers.
This is only $1 a month to have access. Sign up today at patreon.com/WeRRR Legends.
Thanks for listening. You're not going to say anything?
We are legends.